Wow, so much activity.
Sorry.
Nice.
Everybody came very prepared tonight. So much production.
Ticker. Oh,
If you ever feel
wait, one more.
That's
Okay.
bad.
Is that your
Happy
iPhone?
4th of July, everybody.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Happy Fourth.
Yay. Happy 4th.
If you ever feel like things just aren't happening, we can always do this. Well,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
And
but I got to do this part.
right?
And then maybe.
Is that somebody lost a digit,
Right, maybe
Yeah,
maybe
right,
that
right.
wasn't right.
It's all fun and games until somebody loses a finger.
right?
Right.
Well, welcome to Outside the Inn, everybody. We are the Travis Larson Band. I'm seeing so many people pop up. I'm so glad to see that. I wasn't sure if anybody would show up tonight, but if they didn't. We have to have something to do, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we talked about maybe not canceling, but maybe not having a broadcast tonight due to the holiday, and thinking everyone would be off doing more fun things. But then we thought we have nothing to do, so
Right. We are going to keep it, I think, down to an hour tonight, just because that way, if there are people that want to get, because at least where we are and through most of the time zones, we've got, where I am from now, we've got a couple hours before it's truly dark and anybody does anything. So if anybody actually has an opportunity to blow anything up or watch people blowing stuff up, we're going to finish before that happens. And if you're on the East Coast, you've presumably already watched everything blow up that's going to blow up, or you're watching it blow up now, and you can always watch this later on the rerun.
on the Webovision, right?
That's somebody else. That's we can't go there.
No, sorry, the TLV. Pardon me.
Did you like this though? I got so much production going. I just want everybody to know how much production goes into these things for how lame they are. This is an entire computer all on its own just to do this.
Wait.
All this stuff.
I think we've got our hour figured out.
I know.
Just keep doing those things back to back.
All this stuff, because we do, just so everybody knows, we do all this stuff as free as we can do it. The whole point is to have fun for free and not spend money that we're not making. So that's every single one of these shots, because I'd have to pay $24 a month to use one device. I have to sign in all these different devices to do all this different stuff. This is a different device right here. And by the way, I do have, I had sound for that. If we feel like it's a little bit distracting though, if you just leave it up the whole time.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like you're there,
Only if you do this.
Right. So this is the fireworks cam. That's just going to be running in the yard the whole time. I'm keeping the TLB crew busy. They were told to keep that running for an hour.
Oh.
And that way, if I ever have to clip, go to that. And that's one of the iPads out there on a tripod in the yard,
Yeah, you wish. All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, Scott Baker and Stephanie and Anthony made it, and Glenn.
Werner.
Thanks, you guys, for being here.
Yes. Yep.
And Wayne, Hala, Vincent, the usual suspects.
Yep.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th, everybody.
Yes.
And Goober and Jeff. Yay.
I'm just going to let everybody know.
It's like our own little picnic. I mean, barbecue picnic 4th thing.
It's a virtual picnic. And if we ever
Except for no food.
So this is what I was going to bring up. Much like occasionally my sister-in-law and my brother do, they'll run food by every couple of weeks, and on a special occasion, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, that kind of stuff, they'll take some to the parents, and then I'll get like some overflow of that. So today, for the 4th of July, they took the parents some hamburger makings, and running by, back out of town by my house, they dropped off some hamburger makings. So when we get done here, I'm gonna go put this on, just so I feel like it's legit. Have this running. I'm gonna go in the kitchen. I'm gonna fry up some hamburgers, and then I'm gonna put on Jaws.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And
all right, so let's just get started with the Jaws discussion right now. I know that's what you're.
Well, first of all, this is the first 4th of July that I've been in this house since 2015. And that one was the day before we started the 2015 Aristocrats tour. So you and me and Devin were here. And we were packing merch, and we had just gotten Shift Happens, I think.
Okay.
And so we were packing Shift Happens and getting it all ready for the next day. And we spent all the 4th of July completely working, trying to make sure that we didn't forget anything. And we didn't go watch any fireworks, anything, because we were completely freaked out about this huge tour we were about to embark on, and wanted to make sure we didn't forget anything. So that was the last time I was actually in this house. And then for several years after that, we were playing in Washington for the SeaTac 4th of July extravaganza, which is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, this very second. It's on the calendar. This is the first year that the calendar has not matched reality in my entire life. But I'm supposed to be like right about now. So it's like 7:09. We would probably be raiding the catering for some barbecued hot dogs and chicken, and Larry Mitchell's band would be playing, and I would be wolfing down some potato salad. And in about 30 minutes, I would be getting back on stage and doing like a 15-minute version of Little Wing with Larry. That's what would be happening right now. That was on the calendar. That was what we were going to do. So, instead, we're going to make hamburgers here, and I'm going to watch the Jaws DVD.
Stephanie says she'll bring the tofu. So,
Stephanie
makes a mean roasted tofu and I don't know, she's brought tofu to work that is to die for. But you can't get tofu. Apparently, the vegans are coming out in force in the pandemic, and she's been unable to find tofu. So I was in a different part of the county yesterday, checked out a TJ's, and I don't want to say I was unconscionably hoarding, but I did a little bit of vegan hoarding.
Well, I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, and I want to know, is a Foo Fighter somebody that actively tries to fight tofu
or hoard it?
Right. No, I'm thinking they're fighting
Foo Fighters are hoarding. So Dale, is it technically tofu or tofu?
Oh, I'll accept either.
If you were Christopher Walken, it would be tofu.
Yeah, you got to make a couple syllables out of this last syllable. Tofu.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just looking through the comments. I haven't taken a look to see who's hanging with us besides what you guys were saying. So I got a couple of things already here. Vincent says...
Anthony asks, crud, is that your closed captioning or mine? It's scrolling across Jen's face.
I don't see anything across your face.
I don't see anything either.
In fact, your face looks fabulously lit in comparison to last week.
Thank
you look marvelous.
And the new microphone.
You sound and look great.
Jen's got an RE1
Thank you.
from Electro Voice. That's the RE1000 for Electro Voice. Used by codes across the globe.
The RE1000.
I personally am using the RE20, which is a broadcast classic if you want to do professional broadcasting. I like to do that into the broadcasting mic.
I'm using the EV Who's What's It headset mic that is amazing. So I can't remember the model number, but it's awesome.
How do you spell the Who's What's It?
With a Z, not an S.
Are there numbers in there?
On some devices, for some reason, we get this. Look at that.
Yeah, now I have it on my iPad now that we're talking about it.
But here's the interesting thing. If I turn the iPad up, it goes away. If I turn the sound on, if I turn the sound off, you get the simulcast.
Maybe Anthony, turn your volume up.
Yeah, or unless he's maybe is there possible he's listening on another device or something?
That's the answer. It's a possible answer because I zero the volume on my iPad so I can look at it and not hear the delay. And when I started to turn it up, it went away.
See, we're learning.
There you go.
Yeah. You know why I couldn't remember the model number of this mic? It's an RE97LTX. Come on, Electro Voice.
That's a Who's What's It.
Yeah, that's not something I can remember.
It's the Electro Voice 97LTX for the professional broadcaster.
If you said it more like 97 LTX, that might be more memorable.
The L is capital T, small x.
Or if you're Christopher Walken, it would be the 97LTX.
I don't mind advertising. It's made my life better.
No, it'd be the LTX.
But look at that. Anyway.
Oh yeah! Wow, that's not memorable.
They're going to think you're getting some kind of money for this.
I know.
It's not true. We're just geeking on
when stuff does work, we're super happy about it. We don't mind pushing it.
Right. Vincent again says, good evening, everybody. We are starting to have outdoor shows here in old drive-ins. Bands perform live and you watch from your vehicle. Strange times. Anything like that going on there? Absolutely not. Here's what they did at the old drive-in the other day. At the Sunset Drive-In in San Luis Obispo the other night, they showed Back to the Future for the 35th anniversary. That's what they did at our old drive-in.
Yep.
I know that because Craig posted a picture. Craig was our original drummer in high school, and he posted a picture of him going and seeing Back to the Future. So,
if I had my flux capacitor handy, I'd be like,
that's right.
I do not.
Okay, so Werner has a question, and maybe we can poll everybody since it's all family here, and we can find out what I missed because I could never figure it out. But Werner says, did TLB ever get asked to play the national anthem? So here's the story with that. I played the national anthem one time, and it was after 9/11 when they had a, I don't even remember what they called it, but the local radio stations were having like a big picnic event, basically try and cheer everybody up and show solidarity in a local park. And they had the Ernie Ball stage set up there. And they asked me, because TLB was going to play, they asked me if I would play the national anthem at the end of our set. And then they were going to bring up the local DJ guy, and he was going to do some giveaways and talk and all that kind of stuff, whatever you do with these things, right? And so it turned out that this thing ended up televised. And so I played the national anthem, and it was televised. And this is a million years ago. So like I said, we're all family here. So I'm going to ask opinions without getting into any kind of like, BS. Like I know we always keep everything positive here, but there was a British guy that I knew that came in to when Jen and I were managing a video store. So we did this show. I played the national anthem. It was on TV. Then I was working at the video store the next day. And he came in and he was very upset with me. He said, I ought to be ashamed of myself and all this stuff.
Oh, I remember that now.
And I couldn't never figure out what that was. And I wasn't really willing to get into the discussion. But I don't know if it was because, and he was a British guy. So I don't know if he felt like I was, desecrating the national anthem by playing it on an electric guitar. I played a pretty straight version. I kind of, I watched, obviously the Hendrix thing. I didn't even go there. I did it more of a straight, a cleaner, kind of what you would expect Travis Larson to do versus somebody like Jimi Hendrix. So
color inside the lines. Is that what we expect you to do?
Coloring inside the lines. Yes. I did do dynamically. I ripped the Steve Vai version that I'd seen him do at a ball game, where just based on which parts you were going to play really kind of heavy and dynamic, and then which parts you were going to bring down and play really quietly, I thought, well, that's kind of a thing I could do. So instead of just playing it straight forward, like maybe Dave Mustaine would do, where he just played straight through, no dynamics, get it done, get out of there before people hate you. I played, fairly melodically, as you would expect me to do, and not super fast. And then after the big build up, I brought it way down and played really quietly with kind of a clean tone, and then built it back up. Anyway, this guy was so mad at me about it, and I could never figure out why. So if anybody has any idea why that would be that I'm not seeing, you let me know. I don't see anybody. Yeah. Sam says minus the acid. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he was disappointed in you, because there wasn't enough acid.
Right. Maybe I didn't feed back enough, and I didn't throw my guitar.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What were his words again?
He's like, I saw that. It was deplorable. You should be ashamed of yourself, Travis. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I was going to say, did you ask him why? But that's kind of awkward to say, why? When somebody's saying you should be ashamed.
No, I'm just not that guy. I'm not the guy that's going to get into it with you. I just went like that.
Yeah.
Plus, I was working a job where you had to kiss butt and be.
Yeah, right.
I was dealing with sales and the public. So.
Yeah, it's a delicate line to say, can you tell me what you were offended by?
I'm not sure how that would have been considered deplorable, but I do remember that, and I thought it was a very tasty and appropriate version. So
Stephanie says maybe
as an American bass player, I would have said that was an awesome version, Travis.
Stephanie says maybe the anthem he meant for.
Yeah. Take it up with the songwriter.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Call Francis.
You're right.
See, because
Karen Lee is here.
I saw that. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Miss you too. Oh.
I want to.
Hello, Ohio.
One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that we do have a world premiere video tonight at the end of the show. And again, we're not going to do the show too long tonight. So we've got an exciting one for you for the 4th of July. It's it's a beat number. It's got some pizzazz to it. We're excited about it.
It's a hit.
These streaming or these remote technology videos, the home sessions that we've been posting, I will say there's only one that I did more than one take on, and I did one take on the one I'm going to post tonight. And I think if you watch it, you'd be kind of surprised that was one take. It's pretty good if I don't say so myself.
I'm always impressed by that. I give it quite a number of goes.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, how many takes did you do, Dale? I allowed myself, I think it was 3 takes per tune.
I would go
allowed myself.
See how far away from it I was, go home, realize I'm going to have to write a chart, then figure out how much I'm going to have to read it in the time I had. Yeah, I do whatever it took.
Werner asks if you've heard Stu Ham do the national anthem, Jen.
Ooh. If I have, it's been a while. Yeah, it's something I should maybe later. That'll be my celebratory crank it and light a lighter. I don't have any explosives to celebrate the holiday with.
So
yes.
For many years, we wouldn't be on the road during the 4th of July. And before, like I say, we haven't been home in about 5 years. But for many years, oh, by the way, let me just say that the last 4th of July was, even though we were on the road.
Awful. Sorry.
This is actually a more pleasant 4th of July than the last one. Not surrounded by as exciting a time, obviously, but exactly a year ago, we were just starting out the Aristocrats tour of 2019. And So the 4th of July was between Reading and Portland, which is like an 8-hour drive or something like that, whatever it is. So we did that drive on the 4th of July. And so there was 2 vans. Jen was in the Aristocrats van because she was tour managing. And then my van was me, Dale, Gino, and Kip. Gino, our road crew guy, and Kip, our sound guy that we've talked about a lot. We're going to get Kip on here, by the way. He committed to doing it in the next couple of weeks. So
awesome.
Yes.
Yay.
Nice.
he's nervous to be in front of the camera, but he's committed to doing
okay. Kip will never see this. So what we all need to do is wear the shirts. All of us.
You're right.
Right? We're just going to say that now in case I forget to remind us next time. So, and we'll just give him hell about those shirts.
Yes.
But we drove, we knew we weren't going to be able. Here's the disappointing thing too, is that the SeaTac celebration concert was going on a year ago on the 4th of July, but there was no way we were going to make it there in time to set up sound check and all that without being completely exhausted. So we just did the drive that day and didn't take that gig. And so we had that day as a travel day, and we drove all the way to Washington from Redding, California, to basically stay right over the border because the hotels were quite a bit cheaper right over the bridge from Portland. If you stay near Portland, it was ridiculous. If you stayed in Washington, it was a lot cheaper. So we drove for 8 hours, and then we went to an Applebee's at like 8:30 at night. There's like nobody in there except the 4 of us, and had hamburgers, and then went back to the hotel. And Jen hadn't even gotten there yet because she was always running way behind the TLB van because the TLB van ran with efficiency.
I don't even want to tell you about my night that night. That was an awful night.
But anyway,
we didn't. You had food.
Yeah, we had food. We didn't have any. We didn't have any cool fireworks. But I'll tell you this: it was the very first time in all our years of touring that we drove right through Portland downtown, through all the interchanges and bridges that go over the river there.
Yep.
And there was no traffic because everybody had gotten where they needed to go. And we literally, it was like 6:30 at night, 7 o'clock, something like that. So it's like right now we drove right through there, not a car to be seen. And we were like, holy crap, I've never seen like the freeway through Portland be this clear in my life.
That's true.
So after an 8-hour drive, that was a nice surprise because we were getting ready to just sit there in traffic and be inching.
Yeah.
But that was just basically a work day. We're just behind the wheel doing this. And so that was the first in years where we hadn't really had like a really fun 4th of July. But so, but this is
I did stay in Portland, downtown proper.
Yeah.
I have no memory for holidays. I'm so untraditional about it that if I remembered that night, I wouldn't be able to attach it to the 4th.
I see Greg Timmons. Happy 4th of July, Greg.
Hey, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Yay. And Eric Davis, too.
Davis.
Yay.
Yep.
I see Glenn Hinsman. Hey, Glenn. I see Eric Johansson back in the Mexico days.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I had a few things here that I brought into the equation just for fun. I have a Who's the Man, which we may have done this. I can't remember, but my brother suggested this. And he was like, it might be too controversial with the way the world is and everything. You don't want to start stuff. And I was like, no, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect for a TLB Who's the Man. But we might have done it, might have forgot. So here we go. David Gilmour or Roger Waters? Did we do this?
Yeah. That had to come up eventually. David Gilmour.
Dale?
I think I'm David Gilmour. And does it make sense to say that on a sonic basis? Like,
I'm in for David Gilmour too, and I'll explain myself. Even though I know Roger Waters was a huge creative force behind a lot of that stuff, or at least a partner in it, I will say that I don't want to like talk bad about him, but how about I talk good about David Gilmour? First of all, there's been a lot of good output from David Gilmour that didn't have anything to do with Roger Waters. post that. If you're a Pink Floyd fan and you think that Pulse is a crappy album, I would beg to differ. If you think that Delicate Sound of Thunder is a crappy album, I would beg to differ. Some of that stuff is more commercial than the early Pink Floyd, but you could give me David Gilmour's voice and a guitar, and he just released a new song 2 days ago that I sent Jen in the morning. Did you check that out yet?
I have not checked it out yet. I'm sorry.
There's a new David Gilmour track on YouTube. Just look it up. It's amazing. But you could just hear that voice and guitar and you're happy. Yep. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
He could be singing Happy Birthday and you'd be like, yeah, I feel good.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Did you know Pink Floyd was my very first proper concert? Well,
yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about this without like giving too much away. Because Jen was like, you know, she still is the Keith Richards of this band.
What?
So Jen goes to see her very first concert. And she goes with her boyfriend at the time in high school, right? You're still in high school?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they rent a limo.
That's right.
And they go to the Pink Floyd concert in a limo. And I won't get into all the other debauchery, but it was a true Pink Floyd experience. It's the kind of stuff you do. You know, it was like she went to go see Pink Floyd the same way that Keith Richards would have gone to see Pink Floyd.
Yeah, that is pretty badass.
But she was still in high school.
I went to my first big concert, which was a Rush concert 6 hours out of my town with the brother of a ex-girlfriend who I was no longer dating, but I knew her brother liked Rush and was going to be making the trip. Not nearly as cool. I'm like, can I tag along?
All right. Jen, Scott,
I don't know how going to a concert is. Well, whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Scott Baker wants to know, go to Ernie Ball strings, and do you use different sets for different basses?
No, not different sets for different basses. I use the Ernie Ball Extra Slinky. It's the blue package. They are lighter gauge, and I think they're 40 to 90, I think is what it is, or 45 to 90. But yes, I string them all up with the extra slinky strings.
Right. Wayne says Jen has always been a rock star.
Fingers. What's that?
Wayne says, Wayne says Jen has always been a rock star.
Oh, brother.
Scott says Jen is so limo worthy.
Here's the interesting thing about Jen. She's the most rock star, but she also is like the least rock star. like she likes to hide out and not, you know, like you're not exactly living a rock star life right now, you know, these days.
She's an eccentric, reclusive rock star.
Right. She's the
Thank
kind of rock
you, Dale.
star.
I wasn't quite sure how to respond to that.
She likes to garden for years at a time.
It's not gardening. It's just being one with nature.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's not gardening, it's landscaping. It's so much more.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's heavy equipment involved.
Right.
I just like to be outside. That's what it kind of comes down to. I like to be outside.
Anthony says, I thought the Who's the Man would be Gilmour or Robin Trower. Both have an amazing feel. But yeah. Gilmour's got the whole package. You could put any, like, you know, slow blues behind him, and he's just going to be so Gilmour, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's the Gilmouriest.
He's the Gilmouriest. Steve, one of our road guys, brought up to me the other day for discussion. He said, similar to a Who's the Man, but not exactly a Who's the Man. He said, and this is a perfect discussion for the audience here, because we talk about this stuff so much with all you guys, but a perfect Rush song to turn somebody on to Rush that is not turned on to Rush.
Oh, brother.
Like, where do you start, right?
Where do you start? Ooh.
I'm going to go ahead and just open it up with an obvious starting point, which is like, is the answer still just Tom Sawyer? Like, Tom I don't know.
Sawyer. Right.
Maybe.
That is an obvious.
It's a starting place in the conversation.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So Steve and I, our number one was Tom Sawyer, but then we were also both independently vacillating on Limelight. Would it be Limelight,
Yeah.
Spirit of the Radio is another one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Limelight is the one they use in
What's that, Travis?
Limelight's the one they use in the movie I Love You, Man, where he's so excited to play for his girlfriend Rush, and she's not she's not been exposed to Rush, and then he plays it on his little laptop in the kitchen.
Bud says Fly By Night, and I would have to wholeheartedly agree with that one also. I mean, that record alone is just
okay. So here's the thing, though. If you're trying to turn somebody onto it, are you trying to turn somebody onto it that maybe? So we all know, and I'm not speaking out of school here. We all know that when you bring that era of stuff to people, he's so high and screaming.
Yeah,
people are turned off to the band.
It's the number one reason to not like Rush is the shrill vocals. So maybe you start with the modern day war, and then.
So, but do you care, or do you just say, well, you either like them or you don't? And here's the thing: in the early days, they were the Canadian Led Zeppelin. I mean, that was there a difference really between what he was doing on Fly By Night and what Robert Plant was doing?
Right. Yeah. How is that less shrilly?
Yeah.
Right.
Ultimately.
So, a lot of different opinions here.
Xanadu too. I saw that pop up, and that's what I gave Travis to go here. You need to know this band, and that was my I'm going to try to turn you onto this band song was Xanadu.
The very first song that Jen and I ever tried to learn in high school, literally when we were 16, probably.
I was 15. Yeah.
We tried to learn Xanadu, and we sat and we did. I mean, it wasn't obviously to a degree that would be
obviously Xanadu,
right? But I mean, we did learn all the notes, and we did play them in order. So flash forward to the tour that we did a couple of years ago, where Jen's playing bass for Andy Timmons, and we're in Chicago at Reggie's sound checking, and there's people eating dinner while we're sound checking, and a guy yells Xanadu because we're messing around at sound check, and Andy goes into Olivia Newton-John Xanadu. That was
so great.
One of my favorite things ever. And that's one of those stories. That's one of the things that always makes me smile. Not just because number one, that is a number one joke. That was just like all about a perfect joke. But then the fact that he's the guy, he's the musical director, right?
Yeah, for Olivia Newton-John. Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
So Gino says Subdivision speaks well to those who might find Rush kind of kitschy, and that dovetails into a different thing I was going to say. Sure. So Subdivisions really speaks of the songs that really speak for people, like that weird lost feeling in high school or maybe early college. Subdivisions is a great one. And then a different version of that is a lot of people talk about, and Neil used to talk about how often people would come to them and find Rush through Limelight, like you were saying, Trev, when they got famous. Right. Athletes and people who otherwise didn't listen to that were just going, wow, I got to just contact you about these lyrics. So, and Subdivisions is a great one like that. Good call, Gino.
Right.
I
not shrill.
Agree lyrically, yes.
Yeah.
Also, which one?
I said also not shrill. And
right. I agree lyrically. Subdivisions is very pulls a lot of people in. Yes, absolutely.
Subdivisions.
Right.
Jerry is here.
Nice.
Bay Area Jerry. Hi, Jerry. And Jerry says Spirit of the Radio, that's where he came in, and he's never been the same since.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. That's a classic, for sure.
So I had another Who's the Man I saw.
Lots of entry points for Rush to try to convert.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Sorry, Dale. Go ahead.
Scott says no, not Xanadu, and I have to agree just because it's too much for people that are uninitiated.
Yeah, they wouldn't have the patience, maybe.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dale.
I was going to say this might be too early for another Who's the Man, but I saw one last week that I thought was interesting. I'm only 70% You guys want to who's the man?
Oh, sure.
So I'm 70% sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but Matt Groening, The Simpsons, right?
Yep.
Or Seth MacFarlane.
Oh,
that went under the radar last week.
Show.
Yeah, that went under the radar. I was like, that was a good call. I forgot who had it, and I'm sorry for whoever said it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, who's the man? I'm gonna say. I mean, obviously. I mean, Matt has made probably a longer, more generational impact. However, Seth MacFarlane is multi-talented. Like, that guy's amazing in so many different ways, right?
Yeah, he's a weird kind of triple threat. He sings and composes and
I'm going to say Seth MacFarlane based on the fact that he can croon and he can be funny as hell and he can create, really funny animation series, and he's like a comedian. That guy's great. Those bear movies. You know what I'm talking about?
Is he Ted?
Eddie? Or Ted?
Oh, yeah, right. Jeez, you're right.
It's amazing.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I am actually... I think I'm going to say Matt, just because it
No, I know what you mean.
It inspired I probably inspired the Seths. You know what I mean? Sure. That kind of genius,
right?
In a way,
right.
I don't know.
Right.
He almost seems like one of the fathers, and then the Seths are the learning from the Matts. So I'm going to say Matt.
I could be wrong about this, but I think both of them have made Steve Lukather. I'm not positive about that, but
oh yeah, like featured Steve Lukather as a character.
Yeah, I think both of them.
Nice. Yeah, anyway, I thought that was good.
That is a good one. And you, Dale, what's your take on that?
I think we're all in the same place. I'm with Trav. Seth MacFarlane speaks to me more. I find Family Guy hilarious, and but it's unbelievable how long The Simpsons has been on. You know, I mean, it's crazy. I don't even know the answer to it, but Guthrie would set us straight if he was here.
Right.
Right. He would. He'd say, "Let me tell you a story," and then we just sit there and.
Yeah, Gina, we're South Park.
Yeah, that's okay. So we could have a 3-part Who's the Man.
Well, here's the thing about South Park is Rush left South Park.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's a Rush tie-in. I remember we were playing. It was Fort Lauderdale, with the Aristocrats, and it was going to be it was a small place. It might have been a replacement venue, and it was already sort of one of those roll your eyes, this is going to be trippy nights. And in the back they had all these old classic vintage video games, and they had a Simpsons video game. And apparently this is not impressive as I thought, because I was like, there's a Simpsons video game, and I couldn't wait to tell Guthrie. It's like, you got to see this. And he's like, yes. It wasn't that impressive to him. I thought he would love it. Oh well.
He doesn't strike me as a gamer type.
No, I just thought he would love The Simpsons.
Yeah. Goober is asking if you got a joke tonight, Jen.
Okay, I do. What do you call someone who immigrated to Sweden, Travis?
Who immigrated to Sweden? Swedish.
Artificial sweetener.
Nice.
Wow. That's
sorry.
They might just have to watch some stuff explode for a second after that.
Oh, come on. That was awesome.
That was good.
That's all I got right now. Okay. So, not to change the subject, but I'm going to change the subject.
Yeah, we were at the end of the previous subject.
Yeah. It's the only thing that can happen after.
I say, yeah, we were so dug into the previous subject.
You pretty much have to change the subject after
Kevin
you say
says,
not to
I'd
change
like
the
that 10 seconds of my life back, please.
Oh, wow. Getting unruly.
That was a Travis joke because he's Swedish. Okay.
Didn't you have
anyways.
What do you call a vegetarian with diarrhea? Now we're going to have to wait for him to tell us in the feed. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, Anthony. What? Okay, we'll wait for Anthony's.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm waiting for Anthony's punchline. The suspense is killing me.
We're waiting.
We're waiting. Oh, a salad shooter.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Come on, a little something.
Give him a little something, Dale.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm like, who had the Saturday Night Live character where he just had terrible timing, but he was the drummer?
Fred Armisen?
Yes. He'd just be back there all, and the guy
yeah, he'd be like
talking about some tragedy in his family. He'd do a rim shot.
Right.
Try to be more.
I'm
going to try to be more like him.
Yeah. Jen.
Right. Well, okay, so recently, there's a lot of talk about how I'm always outside and fooling around in the yard and stuff. And the other night I told these guys this story already. I had taken a shower after being in the yard all day, and girls shut up. Girls put their hair in the wet hair, and they do the towel thing. And I pull the towel off, and out falls this big worm, like a big, nasty, multi-legged, wormy, awful thing.
Is it a worm or is it multi-legged?
It was a centipede thing.
Holy crap!
But it was wormy in that it was long. But it had many legs. It was so gross. I mean, I dig it if you're in the yard and that happens. You're like, oh, ew, I'm covered with dirt anyways. But after a shower, it was like so gross. So that reminds me of the childhood game. Do you guys remember this? The What's Grosser Than Gross game?
Yeah. Like that's why you were so freaked out when we went to Chicago and you saw that dumpster.
I'm not sure, but I feel like I probably know the name by some different name. The game by some different name, but I don't know.
Okay, well, so it got me thinking about childhood games, and one of in the 4th of July, the kids are out playing and such, and so I was like, man, do you remember red light, green light?
Right.
Yep.
Where you'd like run, and someone would go red light, and you'd stop, and then they'd go green light, and then you'd go.
Right.
I mean, like, how ridiculous
I don't remember
is that?
how you win.
That's right.
Is it from line to line? Like whoever gets across the line first?
I don't know.
Sam says, I still play it. I'm 47.
Did it because it was fun. Someone just yelled red light, green light, and you ran around like idiots. And then there was Red Rover. Do you guys remember that one?
Send Dale right over. Yes.
Red Rover, send Dale right over. And then you'd have to run and try and break through the chain of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever play,
so what are some of your childhood games that you remember?
Speaking of pointless, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Dale.
Speaking of pointless running about, how about Duck, Duck, Goose?
Duck, Duck, Goose. Right.
Nice name.
Like
these are all things that we could bring to the next tour to keep things happening. When we're sitting around for 3 hours after setup and sound check.
Yeah. We could totally play Duck, Duck, Goose or musical chairs. Do you remember musical chairs?
That with the audience,
A lot of them are just names for violence.
So here's something that I used to play a lot of. You play handball, like on the handball courts,
right?
You would hit the ball with your fist, like you'd hit it like that, and you would always skin the crap out of your knuckles on the ground. Remember that?
Oh,
like you'd be like you do those balls because the whole idea was it was only supposed to bounce like once or something before the next guy got it, and if it bounced twice, and so you'd always try and get it as low as you could so that it would hit the wall and then drop so the guy couldn't get to it. So you'd be just skimming these things like rocks,
Yeah.
And so you'd hit it as low as you could, and you'd always just take your knuckles off all day long, just
Yep.
Or dodgeball.
Or dodgeball.
Yes. Not only taking out your knuckles, be taking out like your eyeballs and your head and all sorts of things.
Yeah, dodgeball, the game where you try and swing a ball as hard as you can at another guy's face.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
To me, there's a bizarre spot I don't know if it's boys or just everybody, but there's a bizarre spot where you're strong enough, like around 10, maybe for guys, where you're strong enough to play football and stuff, but you're indestructible, but you're not strong enough to really injure each other, right? Like once you testosterone hits and you're 6 inches taller and everybody, like, it's just, you're going to get hurt now. Like, but when you're around 10, for me, 5th or 6th grade, did you ever play tackle football on the pavement? Like you just, like, what is that? Like, you hurt yourself. You're like, oh, I'll grow another one, whatever. Like, what? It was just seemed like you would just shake it off. And
it happened here. We had grass.
That must have been a Humboldt thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the field that was, I think what would happen is they'd have organized baseball and we'd be all mad because we wanted to play football. And the field actually was just hard clay. So it didn't really make very much of a difference. That's where all my concussions came from, was that field, not so much the pavement. On the pavement, you're like, oh, I got to protect my head. I'll destroy my elbow on the way down. But yeah, on the clay, you just hear your head smack against the ground.
Greg Nielsen says no moshing, only ring around the rosies at our shows. Yeah.
Ring around the rosies. That's another one. Yeah. I mean, that was probably more of a girl game, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but
nice callback to the Black Death, right?
Right. Travis Lyons, by the way, says you guys are nuts, and yes, I could see that. What did you say? Said we're nuts, which
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I mean, tag was an obvious one, and then there was tag football, which I guess I played more often than tackle football. I don't know, but
played a lot of touch football in the street too. But then you would accidentally run into cars and stuff. But do you guys remember Foursquare? Yeah.
With a dodgeball type of ball. Yeah.
Was it with a ball?
Yeah, it was like a dodgeball. You know those red balls that you used for dodgeball?
Yeah.
It was the same ball, but it was called Foursquare, and there was a square, and you I don't know what you did. You
I remember the thing, but I don't remember what you do. I do remember, like where you did what was the thing where you hopscotch or whatever?
Hopscotch, yeah.
Hop through all the squares. Stephanie says Truth or Dare is pretty fun.
Truth or Dare.
She's like way cooler than all of us.
Way cooler. Oh my God. Yeah. Truth or Dare was like the junior high.
Yes. Those were the parties that Jen was at. I wasn't at those parties.
Right. I was playing football on the pavement. People don't really have my back about that, by the way. Somebody says, and now the drummer thing makes sense. Gary.
Looking through.
And I remember telling ghost stories was a big thing when I was a kid too. Was that a thing for you guys?
Only when you're camping or you're.
And that's not really a game, but when you have the slumber parties telling ghost stories and stuff.
Well, every 4th of July when I was growing up, because I grew up here, and for those people that don't know, there's Morro Bay is a suburb of San Luis Obispo, California, and there's a 10-mile strip of sand dunes out there that there's nobody on, and you can only walk from one end of it. So you take a boat out there, and fireworks are not legal out there, but nobody was going to come get you back in those days. Now maybe they would, I don't know, but we used to go out there, and that was, it was like the opening scene of Jaws. That's why I love that movie so much. So, you'd be out there, there'd be campfires, and you'd shoot stuff off, and then as the night progressed on, you'd start telling stories, and it would be like
stories around the fire, kind of.
Yeah, like the one in Meatballs, where Bill Murray told the story about, this guy with an iron hook, where his right hand used to be,
Yeah.
So you tell those kind of stories. But we used to go out there. The other thing we used to do is, my brother and I have talked a little bit about this before. We don't do this anymore for any law enforcement listening. I'm sitting here.
We don't do this anymore. No, really, we don't.
Right. Where I'm sitting here talking to you guys, but in the old
this is your alibi.
Right. That's exactly right. This is a live feed.
Nobody can say I was not right here.
This is a live feed. Gino took over for us a few years ago. Now he's not even here. So, but my brother and I would go to Law's Hobby in San Luis Obispo, and we would buy.
I loved Law's Hobby.
Yeah, we would buy C&D rocket engines, and we would buy balsa wood sticks that are like yay big, and we like C&D rocket engines, big ones, like they look like a stick of dynamite, and you'd glue these things onto the stick, and then this is a good thing for a kid to do.
Yeah.
Good activity.
It's a good activity when you're like
take notes.
10, 12.
Take notes, kids.
The last time we did it, and this is, so I'll just go with this one, but generally speaking, what we would do, we would take like the flowers you would get, like firework flowers, those the funny ones.
The ones that spin around on the ground and go like that.
Yeah, you bust out all the clay on them with a knife, and then you'd grind out all the powder, and then you'd bust out the clay at the top of the rocket engine, and you'd fill that with the powder from the flour. Then you'd drill a hole in the side of it.
I like how elaborate this. You're just buying raw materials from the guy.
Totally. Now, this is all alleged, and of course, this doesn't happen anymore. But at one point, there was 12-year-olds doing this.
Right.
And then you would take an M80, perhaps, or something along those lines, and you would glue that. You would glue that to the side of the rocket engine, and then you would drill holes in both of them and connect a wick, so that the engine would set the wick off, and by the time it got up, however far, the M80 would go off, right? And so the last
allegedly,
the last time we did this, this thing took off, and it would go up about 5 feet, go straight, turn around, and come right back at you.
I was just going to say, it's always the aerodynamics that screws you. You can get the timing right, you can get the explosives right, you don't know where it's going.
So
you just didn't drill those holes perfectly right. Something was wrong with the drilling of the holes.
No, it was because we put the M80s on there. Before, in the old days, we would just do the rocket engine and stuff in the top, and it would go up and it would explode, and it would do what a rocket's supposed to do. But then when we got into the M80s, somehow my brother had acquired these things, and so we started using them. And this thing, I mean, all of Morro Bay heard this thing. Like, everybody talked about it. Like, the next day, somebody was shooting some stuff off on those dunes that wasn't, that stuff was like big. I don't know what that was. And that was allegedly some 12-year-olds back in the day that were out there on their boat. Mm-hmm. So that's what we used to do every year. We'd go out on those dunes.
This is a lot like I was talking about the sweet spot of when I was talking about playing tackle football on the concrete. You're old enough to understand tackle football and think that's fun, but you're dumb enough to play it on concrete and resilient. And that's sort of like what you're talking about. You're smart enough to create these explosives, and you're dumb enough to do it.
Right. Mark says Queensryche fan here. We saw Queensryche actually on a bill with Dream Theater and King's X. It was, I think. Right?
Is that what that was?
I think so. Or I don't know. It might have been two separate shows. I know it was definitely with Dream Theater.
Was Satch on that King's X bill?
It could have been Queensryche and then Satch and then Dream Theater, or it could have been
Bone Bash thing, huh?
Yeah, I can't. No, that was different.
Okay,
that was different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was the night, the Queensryche night. I'll get back to the question in a minute, but the Queensryche night is when I've talked in previous webcasts about when we saw Rush and we really learned exactly what a road crew is and how bands and road crews work behind the scenes and how they treat each other and how those guys, everybody back there was so respectful, and you could hear a pin drop and everybody loved each other and you could tell that they loved being there. And then I talked about the other show where it sounded like everyone was going to kill each other and there was lots of screaming and stuff. That could have had something to do with this band. Allegedly.
Allegedly, right.
Allegedly. Anyway, Mark says, Queensryche fan here, bought Rage for Order in 1986 in San Luis Obispo record store. What was the name of the store? Boo Boo Records or Cheap Thrills is right. It's one of those, Mark. It's Boo Boo Records or Cheap Thrills. Boo Boo Records is really like the pinnacle. Like that's the one you want to go to. They're an old school, awesome record store, managed and run by Mike, and Frank manages the back half where they got all the cool stuff, and it's the
vinyl.
That's the place, man. That's the place where we do our in-stores whenever we do in-stores. If we were coming out with an album and we're going to do a record
day, we play there on record day.
Yep. We were supposed to play there last Saturday, actually. And that was the second rebook of Record Store Day this year, and it ended up not happening. But yeah, we were going to do, so last weekend, I was going to play Friday night and then Saturday afternoon at Record Store Day, and then Saturday night, and then supposed to be playing through this whole week and next week and on and on and on.
It's as though you sort of are still. Part of your brain is doing those gigs right now.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm on the third song.
Right. To see what else there was.
And Boo Boo Records really hooks up the Record Store Day artists. They have a little backstage food and nachi stuff, and they give you like a little care package thingy. And
that's true.
That's true. They're always very, very accommodating. And Boo Boo Records is just awesome. They have an amazing vinyl collection, DVDs, lots of they're an awesome store.
Bruce Emmerich,
go ahead.
Bruce Emmerich chiming in. He says he's been on both types of tours, by the way, that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Bruce Emmerich, I'm going to out him right now, but we were talking about Pink Floyd earlier. And I believe was Bruce the sound guy on the Delicate Sound of Thunder tour or something like that.
I believe so.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're supposed to out you, Bruce, but that's just cool, right? It's just cool. So we actually used the same mixing board that they used on Dark Side of the Moon for the Luke session on our Burn Season record.
True story. That huge Neve console, biggest Neve console in California or whatever.
A steakhouse.
Yes.
If I was super, super fast, I would try and go find that. But since we're getting really close, we'll do it.
You can show it next time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Stephen Guerin says we played Fireworks War in tennis court as a kid. Dangerous and stupid, but fun. That is also in that kid zone of indestructible, stupid enough to do it. That beats my BB gun wars honor system, only 2 pumps.
Really? You fell for that?
I stepped away from those.
I'm sure you always only did 2 pumps.
I was the guy who did. You're right. I would be that. I bowed out because what happens when you're 12 is you're like, I know we said 2 pumps, but he's like way further away. I'm going 3, and pretty soon it's just on. I got out of the whole air gun fight thing.
I was talking to Bill about that yesterday. Bill's one of our classic roadies.
Yep.
And Bill's the guy with the TLB tattoo. And he was talking about in the early days where he used to have BB gun wars, and he's got friends to this day that have BBs in their hands.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah, they weren't messing around.
Right. Air guns are wow.
It's all horrible things to do if you're a child.
They're good activities. These are
good activity.
Hey, really quick before we get to
more people did this than play tackle football on pavement. Everybody's like, pump till you can't pump anymore. My mom made me quit, says Sam. Sorry, anyway.
My mom made me quit.
Sorry, Jen. Sorry.
No, I'm just totally gonna throw a random bone out there for everybody. We had Joe Travers on the show a couple weeks ago, and his DW playlist party is coming up on Thursday, July 9th.
Yeah.
So I don't know the time. It doesn't say right here, but if you're interested in checking out more of Joe's stuff, it's July 9th. That's 5 days from now. DW playlist party.
On a DW page, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
DW probably now.
I just want to give Joe a quick little plug.
That'll be cool.
Mary says she's signing off. We're actually ready to sign off too, Mary. So
yes, we want to keep it short tonight.
Yep.
Thank you, Mary.
July. I will mention, as I do, that we do have all the support TLB links in the description here. We do have a world premiere video that we're going to release right now for a new song that we've done. Not a new song, but a song that we've performed live for the first time on video. That I think is a good, exciting, dynamic 4th of July extravaganza. So right now in the chats, I'm going to post that, and then I'll post it above this post when we get done here too.
Larry just tuned in. Hi, Larry. Bye, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Goober says, love you, Goober.
Love you, Goober.
I'm posting the link to the world premiere video right now, and then I will also post an independent post above this one on our Travis Larson Band Facebook page. You guys, happy 4th of July. I hope.
Happy 4th, everybody.
Hey, can I sandwich this in, Trav? You were mentioning Bruce Emmerich. I'm just going to shove this in. He said, David is a true gentleman and one of the most musical and talented musicians alive. My other picks are TLB and Andy Timmons. Steve Hackett is gaining fast. Okay,
right.
Sorry.
Awesome. It's nice to see you, Bruce. Been a little while.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Happy 4th.
I hope everybody's doing good.